Hi, this is Tara Green, and it's 2022, and I'm here to describe for you what the year is going to be ahead based on this birth chart, January the 1st, 2022, set for Greenwich Mean Time at midnight. Okay, so numerologically, 2022 is a universal number 6, which is called the Lovers in the Tarot. So it is actually one of the best numbers to have. If you know anything about the structure of the Tarot and the Kabbalah, on the Tree of Life, the number 6 is at the center of the Tree of Life. And the Sephira there is called Tiferet, which means beauty. So really, we're looking at quite a positive year ahead overall. The Lovers is associated with the sign of Gemini, by the way. And the sign of Gemini might be perplexing as the Lovers, but it really is about the task for this year is about integrating the divine complementary apparent opposites. Okay, there's always two sides of the same coin, so I'm really thinking that 2022 is the yin-yang year for a number of reasons. Okay, so everything has a negative and a positive side. Negative does not mean bad, positive itself also does not mean good. They're just polarities. They're electric frequencies and magnetic charges, and again, everything on this universe works in those dynamic polarities. You can't have one without the other. You can't have good without bad, black without white, etc., all down the line. So this is what 2022 is all about, is on the one level falling in love with ourselves, making what's called the sacred marriage within, marrying our own inner, again, masculine and feminine energies. Those two polarities, they work together, they love each other, they can't be apart, they're totally attracted to each other. That's the real law of attraction, is that draw of one to the other, so they can create something new. So falling in love with ourselves first, doing our inner work, and also what we're seeing outside, the polarity, the forced polarity, the opposition, people taking sides, divide and conquer. We can't divide and conquer. We have to become one and love ourselves, okay? You can't conquer through hate and fear. You can only win through love. Let's put it that way. Okay, so the number 6 is symbolized by the 6-pointed star, which in most people associate with the Jewish star, which is actually a very ancient symbol from Egypt, from India, about the balance of heaven and earth. So the upward pointing triangle with the base on the earth is the masculine one, rooted in the earth, yearning for the feminine spirit above. And the female triangle comes from the cosmos, comes from the universe. The essence of the creative force is feminine, and she is pointing down. She's bringing soul down to earth, okay? So that divine union is what we need to remember, and to always pay attention with our minds. Remember, there's a Gemini, our consciousness, that we're operating unconsciously, and how that's affecting our conscious, and really the unconscious is running everything. So mirroring, integrating, working with the shadows, balancing things out. Balance. All the air signs are dualities. Okay, so the air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Okay, now, speaking of Gemini, the North Node, where we have been evolving to for the last 18 months, is at the 1st degree of Gemini. If you use one type of nodes, it's already progressed into Taurus, moving backwards, already in the different system, but one way or the other, they're going to move from Gemini into Taurus, okay? So we're leaving behind that kind of mental constructs and communications and separations, and moving into a kind of more felt sense over the next 18 months, being very much embodied, Taurus, what we can hold, what we can taste, what we can sense, which we can smell, what we can feel. That's Taurian energy. The bull market, okay? Tangible goods, assets, real estate, the bull market, gold, silver, things that are our tools, literal tools, our gut instincts. The bull is also, wants to stop and smell the roses, ruled by Venus. So over the next, again, 18 months, Taurus energy is what we need to evolve towards. So holding our ground, being very stubborn, boundaries, okay? Knowing what is ours. What is ours is not theirs, okay? So that's important. That's part of the discernment of these dualities. You have to know what you are and who you are first. And then you can marry the other, okay? Which is not really the other. It's just a part of yourself. Okay, so here we have it. Okay. January the 1st, 2022, the sun is at 10 degrees Capricorn, conjunct Juno, the feminine form of Venus, which is very nice to have Juno and her kind of genius, which is about seeing in all directions, okay? Juno. Venus, of course, retrograde in Capricorn at 23 degrees there. And having the year open with Venus retrograde means that things are not moving forward. Venus represents values, money. Again, it rules Taurus, so the tangible goods. The bull markets are going to be are stalled while Venus is moving retrograde. Okay, and she's going to be moving retrograde until the end of January, until January 28th to be precise. So while she's making her underworld journey, and I believe she's going to start to disappear from the horizon very soon, even though she's been retrograde since December the 11th, with Pluto. You can see she's very close still to Pluto there at 25 degrees of Capricorn there, and also with Mercury at 28 degrees, virtually on the 29th, the last most critical degree of Capricorn. So that triple Capricorn energy, there is a stellium. I would include Juno there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets in Capricorn. Is very grounded, it's very stable, it's very traditional, it's conservative, not really emotional, it's kind of dry, practical, business-like. We're thinking about our long-term goals, okay? With Capricorn, it's all about business. It's about what are the mountains we're going to climb this year. 2022, we want to think about, what is this year going to bring all the signs? And I will do a separate tarot reading for each sign and astrology reading for each sign. So Capricorn energy, ruled by Saturn. Saturn at 11 degrees of Aquarius there. You can see in this chart bunched all up into the 4th house, which is about being at home. So things are constricted, restricted because of airborne things. Aquarius, whatever the virus, whatever mutation comes up here, and that's the nature of viruses, to keep mutating. Saturn in Aquarius is holding things back, okay? It's testing us. This is a big test. Saturn's always testing us, whatever sign it's in. It rules Aquarius and Capricorn, so Saturn is still in its strength here, okay, while it's moving through Aquarius till 2023. Okay, now, the big news. Before I get onto that. So Venus retrograde, the beginning of the year means that things are not going to move ahead very much this year. I'm sorry, everybody wants to be very hopeful and optimistic, and there is cause for that, and I'll get to that in a second. But Venus retrograde with Pluto means it's going to be very explosive. You're working with Pluto, rules the underworld, rules the shadows, rules the plutocracy. So there's underworld secrets in terms of money, money laundering, rape, sex trafficking. That's Pluto. His myth is he raped Persephone into the underworld, right? Even though it's an agricultural myth, but the overall symbol of that, has to do with what we're going through right now. The planets excuse me, and the Greek myths are stories, myth stories, here to help guide us and to teach us. And of course, Venus does go retrograde every year and a half or so, so she's going to make a star point in the next few days, which she does every 4 years in her 8-year journey. So is it 4 years? No, it's not 4 years. She was there in 2018. Which is almost 4 years. Okay. So Jupiter, the big news. Jupiter at 0 degrees of Pisces. Now this is really good news. This is why people are feeling optimistic here at the beginning of 2022. Jupiter rules Pisces. Okay, if people are not familiar with traditional rulerships, they think Neptune rules Pisces, and Neptune is already in Pisces. It's been in Pisces since 2011. It's also going to be there until 2023, 2024. Jupiter takes about a year on average to move through a sign, but it's moving very, very fast this year. It was already in Pisces from the end of May until the end of July, so we get a little appetizer, a taste of what Jupiter and Pisces was all about. And of course, the crypto markets tanked with Jupiter and Pisces because if you're into Bitcoin, Bitcoin's Venus, which represents its value, is at 0 Pisces. So likely the same thing will happen now, although Jupiter was moving retrograde at that time and now it's moving forward. So Jupiter and Pisces expands. Jupiter expands whatever sign it touches. So Pisces, the last sign, okay, the sign of viruses, okay, so expanding those viruses. Jupiter rules travel and international things and education and honesty as the ruler of Sagittarius as well. So Jupiter in Pisces expands everybody's psychic energy. It's going to be very, very emotional while Jupiter is in Pisces, which it mainly is only until May the 10th. So not even for the first half of the year, Jupiter will be in Pisces. So let's just talk about the first half of the year from now until May the 10th. Jupiter in Pisces, very psychic, really working with your dreams. I'm going to start a dream healing workshops, temple, work with your dreams. It's all about trusting your intuition. It's all about having faith, trusting in the unseen. You know, Neptune is intangible things. You may feel very confused or even more lost because that's the nature of Pisces. You're taking yourself out of the real physical, tangible world and into the other worlds, you know, into the realms of magic and spirit and soul and all of the other dimensions. So it's good in a way to have all that Capricorn energy grounding us at the beginning of this year. Otherwise, we'd all be kind of like lost in Wonderland or going down the rabbit hole. So Jupiter in Pisces asks us to have faith in ourselves, that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Jupiter in Pisces is also about delusions and illusions and projections and false gurus and fake news and not knowing what's real or not, and self-sabotage, shooting oneself in the foot. It's about rooting for the underdog. It's about debt. So Jupiter in Pisces brings on debt, okay? So there will be inflation or deflation. It can be one or the other or both. Rules debt. It's always Jupiter. The downside of Jupiter is it's too good to be true, and it's really all about I'm looking for my soulmate everywhere, and I've got those stars in my eyes, especially in April when Jupiter and Neptune meet. So that's a very historic, once in 166 years, when Jupiter and Neptune meet in April. So at that point, people might be totally in outer space or really feeling that sense of oneness. I mean, that's the whole point of Jupiter and Pisces, to recognize we're all one. There is no separation. That's an illusion. We're all immortal souls having this temporary physical experience. So that can be a bit crazy making for a lot of people to see through all the veils of illusion. And so, yeah, that could be amazing. Everybody goes, wait a minute, we're all in this together. Why are we playing this separation game? You know, who's really running the show, et cetera, et cetera. But it could also be extremely delusional, you know, and people getting really crazy. So addictions will be exacerbated, drugs, you know, pharmaceuticals, that's already all over the place. And then on May the 10th, when Jupiter enters Aries, that is a totally different show, okay? 0 degrees Aries, the beginning of the zodiac, brand new beginning. Okay, so mark May the 10th or the 11th, depending on what time zone you're in, on the calendar, because it'll be a total goodbye, goodbye, goodbye to all that Pisces stuff, which is like literally represents coming from the womb, and then boom, you're born. That's 0 Aries. That's the initiation. That's always the big bang, and it's the war. Okay, it's anger. It's like Jupiter. I'm gonna jump in without thinking. I'm just gonna go for it because I'm angry, because I'm motivated, because there's my passion, my desire. It's very sexual. It's very like people could be really going crazy on May the 10th, okay? And that lasts until the end of October. Bless you. End of October when Jupiter re-enters Pisces again. So that's actually on October the 27th, 28th. Okay, Jupiter re-enters Pisces and stays there until December the 20th, just before the winter solstice. So really, it's going to be, like I said, a yin-yang year, very much like the Lovers, both sides. So we're going to get a taste of both of that, okay? Now, the other thing I want to mention here, the moon, of course. The moon is the mood of the people. The moon is right at the 15th degree, where it's all planets at 15 degrees in the middle of 30 degrees of a sign are really powerful. So there is optimism there, of course. Yeah, you know, moon in Sag. I've got my moon in Sag, you know, it's being like the big cheerleader of the galaxy. The moon is actually on the great attractor along with Mars there. So again, there's that passion, that energy, that desire, that like, let's tell the truth. Let's be optimistic. Let's be fun. Let's give everybody a break. Let's be really open-minded, you know. Let's seek the truth. You know, it's good. Moon and Mars. The passion is I want to know what's really going on. What is the higher meaning? What is the big picture? Okay, so that's good. So people should start to do their own research and not just listen to what they're being fed. Okay, and that's important in all cases. Okay, so Moon and Sag, you need to travel. You're feeling cooped up. You're feeling restricted by what's going on. The Moon and Mars are squaring Neptune and Pisces. Okay, so again, the challenge here is what's real and what's not. Okay, and you're going to see those two factions are still going to be tried to be played off, but the key is now you know that neither side is correct and both could be wrong. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky. You need to really have access to your higher self, your holy guardian angel that's symbolized in the picture of the Lovers. That is the whole purpose of the tarot. To discern for yourself, where do I need to go? You know, What's my truth, you know? All right, and then you can see in this chart, Lilith at 18 degrees of Gemini is opposite the moon and Mars squaring Neptune. So there's that sense of, again, Lilith, the first woman, the archetype of the first woman before Eve, who was 1/4 of the Godhead, God particle, whatever you want to call that, in Gemini. So again, there's that repetition of that strong Gemini energy. Now, she is not really marked in most astrology, because not all astrologers use her in such a prominent way. I believe she's real strong, especially in this configuration here. So you have to listen to that sense of yourself going, no, I'm not going to go along with what other people are telling me. If I don't like it, no. Okay, I'd rather be alone than not be respected. Okay, but self-respect, which is a Taurus kind of thing, Taurus value, you have to develop that. Okay, so Gemini, Lilith is also squaring Psyche, the asteroid Psyche, in the myth of Psyche and Eros there, opposite Neptune. So again, this Psyche is soul. So tuning into your soul energy. It's in Virgo. Again, Virgo rules the upper digestion, listening to your gut instincts. Again, opposite Athena, the battle goddess. The city of Athens is named in her honor. Again, that Mars, Athena, Neptune. Yeah, you got to get ready to go to war for what truth is. You know, what the higher truth is. You got to look at the bigger picture, not what you're being told in the media. Okay. All right, now the Saturn Uranus square is still on here, although it's ending. It came to a peak around Christmas here. It's still going to be in effect for a little while, but you know, Saturn and Uranus are still in this tension. Again, Saturn wanting to innovate in a way, but cautiously. And then Uranus in the sign of Taurus, which doesn't like to budge. They are both fixed signs, by the way, so neither side likes to budge. But Uranus and Taurus, Uranus rules Aquarius in modern astrology, so they are, you know, in complementary signs in a way. But Uranus and Taurus is bringing in that change in cryptocurrencies and the money, everything, new technology. Do we want to be embedded with chips? Do we want to become part of the neural network? You know, do we want to be observed as G5, whatever, electronic, whatever's going on there? Sorry, I don't want my camera to shut down here. What else have we got here? The big thing is Chiron, the wounded healer at 8 degrees of Aries, is right on the descendant in this chart. Now, this is specifically for Greenwich, but this is usually the world chart. So, wounded, vulnerable, Chiron trining Mars. So, you know, where do we take off our armor? Where do we show our vulnerability? I think, you know, the masculine is learning that the great strength is in being vulnerable, okay? Again, as the South Node leaves Sagittarius, you know, we have to look back at where we've been for the last 18 months and remember that we're going to move into a new phase for the next 18 months as well. The inconjuncts here, Mars and the Moon are inconjunct Uranus and Taurus. So in some ways, there's a disconnect there between what's happening tangibly, physically, and what our minds are searching for, trying to grasp the big truth out there. And Lilith is also inconjunct Capricorn Sun, so what seems to be the normal reality is disconnected from that inner feminine where we find balance and real truth, okay? And Sagittarius is about the truth, okay? So yeah, I would say it's going to be a complex year. You know, it begins with Venus retrograde, it ends with Mars retrograde. I'm going to go into for a more detailed astrological thing, but you know, it's a very big year for Capricorns, of course, with Venus and Pluto and Mercury, and of course US is not very far off from its first Pluto return, which starts February 22nd, 2022, and then there's 2 more hits of that. So we're almost at the start of that revolution point 2 in the US, Civil War. So guaranteed the US will break up sometime over the next while, although Pluto's going to continue to be in Capricorn until 2023, 2024. And I believe that Pluto is even stronger as it's going through the last 5 degrees of the sign, because Pluto just destroys, demolishes, whatever it comes in contact with. At this point, it's the corporate culture, a lot of jobs, but it's also the power. So the plutocrats taking over, you know, you can see that's happening. You know, the big billionaires who've made more money, not just Elon Musk, but all kinds of things like that, and all the middle businesses that have been destroyed. That's also Pluto, the downside of Pluto. And Pluto-Saturn conjunction, you know, even though it's over, we're feeling the after effects from that from January the 12th, 2020, right, which I believe they kicked off COVID, actually, and it was very dire. So let's try to be more optimistic. The moon is the moods of the people, and Sagittarius, tell your truth, but find out what your truth really is, not what you're being fed not the smoke screens by the media. This is not about being Republican, Democrat, or whatever. I'm not American. I'm not in the States, so I'm not part of that. You know, it's different in the Commonwealth countries. It's even a bit more dire there. So, want to wish you all the best. If you want to come to me for a 2020 or personal reading, I'd be happy to do that. I have a special on during January. You can go to my website at tarottarot.com and find out what that is. And I'm doing workshops throughout the year. I'm going to start teaching a basic astrology course so you can learn how to read your chart and all charts, just like this one, because this is what astrology is really all about. So sending you many, many blessings. All right. Speak to you soon. Follow my YouTube channel, please. I need more people to sign up. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. Many blessings for this year of the lovers. Remember to love yourself first.